Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. In today's video, I am reviewing the movie The Big Green. And if you don't know, The Big Green was a Disney live-action movie made back in 1995. Now, why am I reviewing this movie? Because of Jacob Martin, who finished in third place in my Oscar predictions contest. He gets to pick a movie that I get to review, and so he picked this movie. So here's my review of The Big Green. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well here on a Sunday afternoon. So I'm bringing this video reviewing kind of an old movie. I say old, like almost 30 years, 28 years old maybe by this point. But yeah, like I said, The Big Green, it was a Disney movie, came out. It's this underdog soccer kids movie. And I saw it back in the theater back in 1995. I was probably like 12 years old. And so I was right at that right age. And there was a lot of movies dealing with kids in sports. Of course, the big one was The Mighty Ducks. The Mighty Ducks and Mighty Ducks 2 were pretty huge. I remember everybody's a pretty big fan of those. And I'm definitely a fan of Mighty Ducks 2. Mighty Ducks was fine as well, but I remember just really loving Mighty Ducks 2 at the time. There was another movie called Little Giants, which dealt with kids playing pee-wee football, basically, which was kind of similar to underdog story kind of thing. Like I said, very popular to do these kind of stories. I mean, you can even throw in like Rookie of the Year, where a kid gets he hurts his arm, and all of a sudden he can throw fastballs, and so he gets to be a pitcher in the major leagues as a teenage kid or whatever, like a 12-year-old kid or whatever. So it's very popular. And as a kid, you love those kind of movies. When I was 12, 10, 11, 12, whatever, yeah, I actually ate all these movies up, because you're a kid. And so you love seeing movies where kids are underdog and they're succeeding and all that. And you kind of relate to the kids, Obviously, it's much different now that I'm 39 years old. And I look at these kids and I just think, wow, these are the most obnoxious, annoying kids I've ever seen in my life. So it definitely changes a lot once you get older, I think. And so I do have a little nostalgia for the movie, so that plays maybe a little bit of factor in it. As I was watching it, I kind of remember scenes and going, okay, I think I remember this scene happening, that scene happened. And there's some scenes I forget about, and then I watch it and I go, oh, I didn't know that scene was in here. Yeah, The Big Green, like I said, this is because of a friend of mine, Jacob Martin, who got third place in my Oscar prediction contest that I did this last month or whatever for the Oscars. And his prize was that he got to name a movie. And we've been talking about like movies for me to review, and he mentioned sports movies, and we even talked about The Big Green because Jacob actually just reviewed the movie. He just watched the movie and reviewed it on his channel, actually, just recently. He did a what I've been watching live stream, and he's put his part of that actually on his regular videos. So you can check out Jacob. Definitely check out Jacob Martin's review of this movie as well. So he as we're talking about The Big Green, I kind of remember watching it, so I was like, oh, maybe I should rewatch that. And so Jacob gave the suggestion that maybe I should review that movie as part of his third prize anyways. And I was like, yeah, that was definitely a movie I was thinking about anyways. Listening to his kind of got me a little nostalgia for watching some of those movies when I was a kid anyway. So yeah, so I checked it out. It's on Disney Plus if you want to watch it. Like I said, yeah, it's a soccer movie. These kids, I think they're in Texas. They're in this like really poor podunk town in Texas. And the whole town it's horrible. It's like a horrible town where nobody has a job, and the kids don't really learn. They're all stupid. They don't want to learn. It's a terrible school system. And the kids are just kind of hick kids, I guess. Not very smart. And they bring in this exchange teacher, which I don't think that actually exists in real life, but it's this woman from England, played by Olivia Diabo or something like that is her name in real life, which I've seen her before in a movie called Greedy, which was a Michael J. Fox movie. I actually watched this last year. So I've seen her there, and so I saw this, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing her before in another movie, and she's been in some movies here and there. not a real known actress, but anyway, she's the English teacher that exchange teacher. I don't know what that means. She came over from England because nobody wants the job probably to teach these kids because these are horrible kids. And so she's trying to teach these kids. They're not paying attention to her. They're giving smart ass answers. She really can't get through to them. She then introduces them to soccer because being from England, England, as they call it football. Sorry, in America we call it soccer. I know over in Europe they call it football, but we'll just call it soccer for this case. So she's from England, so I guess everybody knows soccer in Europe, but none of these kids have played soccer here in Texas. They don't know anything about soccer. So she gets out a soccer ball and decides to try to teach them. I mean, I guess that's the way to go. Instead of teaching them math and science and English, we're just going to teach them soccer and hope they learn after that. Anyway, it's a bold choice. It actually kind of works because they actually start learning. It seems like they start doing better in school and actually trying. They actually try in school because they kind of, I guess, enjoy playing soccer. So she tries to reach the kids by teaching them soccer and even forces them to a soccer team and to compete against other soccer teams, even though they've never played soccer before. They have no idea how to play. And she throws them in there to learn. Hopefully to build, I guess, team, some kind of team atmosphere, and that'll help them anyways, because they need something in their lives, and all that. Of course, the star of this movie really is Steve Guttenberg, who plays the sheriff. It's a small town, so they only have one cop sheriff. There's probably no actual crime that happens, so he just, he really doesn't do much. He just hangs around. In fact, he spends all his time helping these kids learn soccer instead of doing any kind of police work. So obviously, there's probably nothing to do police-wise in this town. Anyway, so Steve Guttenberg, of course, is, I should say, Olivia d'Abo, really attractive woman, really good looking. And so, of course, the sheriff, sees her and is attracted to her. And so obviously he's helping out because he wants to get with her. Pretty obvious from the beginning. And all the kids know it, and they make a joke about it, which is a little, again, this movie is very cringe, very obnoxious. It was hard to watch at times, to be honest. Anyways, and so that's how kind of the plot goes. Let's speak about Olivia d'Abo. As I was watching it, I was very distracted by the fact that here's this teacher teaching like these middle school kids, I guess you'd say. Maybe they're like 5th, 6th graders, somewhere in that area. And she is really good looking, and she's wearing kind of short skirts and dresses when she's teaching. I mean, I've never seen a teacher look that good in all my life. No offense to all my teachers, but I'm sorry, none of them were that good looking. And none of them wore short skirts and dresses to teach. I would say it was a little inappropriate the way she was dressing, because I was like, if I was a kid, yeah, I wouldn't pay attention to what I was doing. All I'd be doing was looking at the teacher and how hot she is, So I was like, yeah, I wouldn't learn. I would just be distracted all the time because I got this super hot teacher wearing skirts every day. I mean, how could you do your work? You couldn't. So that was a little, I noticed that right away. I was like, there's no way a teacher would wear those outfits. It would, not that it was super inappropriate or super skimpy or anything, but it was just skimpy enough that I thought it would be a problem. And I think the principal would be like, hey, you know what? Can you please come to school dressed like in a long dress, maybe a long skirt, that would work better. But anyway, so I thought that was something. I was like, okay, that's a choice right there. Or maybe that'd make the boys pay more attention to school and want to go to school. In fact, I guess if I was a boy at that school, I'd look forward to going to school. I'm like, yeah, I get to look at that teacher all day. It's like, yeah, this is the best teacher in the world and my favorite class. So maybe that would help get students to come to class. That's for sure. The boys anyways. But off of that, the first 30 minutes was really horrible on this movie. I mean, it was so horrible. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the worst movie ever. Because the kids are they're so annoying. And that's a problem with kids in a lot of movies. Almost every movie I watch with a kid in it, I come away going, man, I hated that kid. He was so annoying. Because that's why kids are in real life. They're real annoying. because you're not mature yet. You go older and you get a little more mature, and you get less annoying, and you get more interesting because you care about things that matter. And you don't have so much drama and stuff in your life as you do as a kid. Anyways, but yeah, these kids, they're awful. When they first meet them, and just like they play off how dumb they are, and they play off how terrible this town is. I mean, they kind of overdid it, I think, quite a bit. It was very immature humor. Like one kid, they're like, "Hey, what can you do?" And one kid's like, "I can burp my ABCs," and he starts burping, and then all the other kids start burping, and I hate that. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to hear kids burping. It's so gross sounding, and it's so not funny." And I think when I was 12 years old, I probably thought that scene was funny. I was like, "Oh, kids burping. That's hilarious." As a 39-year-old, I'm like, that's horrible. I hate listening to people burp. It's something you try to hide when you do it. It's what's the word? It's just rude. I don't know if that's a word, rude, or it's to do it in front of people. It's not something you do. It's not classy. Anyway, so we get to the kids, and I'm just like, wow, I hate these kids. They're not funny. They do try to do funny little bits, and they're never funny. Anyways, and that's I'm just saying the 30 minutes or so, the first of the movie was like the worst. Like I was like, okay, this is like a half a star movie right now. I'm like, this is going down as one of the worst anyways. And I was like dreading I had to watch this. The movie does get better though, I will say. The movie gets better once they start playing soccer and they start going out and doing soccer games. I thought it was actually more interesting. I thought the soccer scenes actually weren't bad, and I was kind of more vested in it, and I was actually not bored, and I was actually kind of interested in what was going on, even though I knew what was going to happen kind of through the movie. I thought the soccer scenes were shot really well. I thought the director did a good job, yeah, shooting the action. I'm not a soccer fan. I never watched soccer, so I don't know exactly what's going on, but just watching it, I'm like, okay, that looks like what a soccer game maybe would be like. And so I thought they did a good job in those. And I think, yeah, as the movie went on, the more I was like, okay, this isn't terrible. I just think that first 30 minutes was like just really bad, just setting up all the characters and the plot of the movie. Yeah, anyway, I won't go there's a bunch of different side plots throughout the movie. The main thing I'll say, okay, of course, one of the strange things is like this team of kids, they never played soccer before, and they're terrible at first. They get just absolutely slaughtered. And then as it goes on, they're getting better and better. And then at the end, they're fighting for the championship of whatever this league is. And of course, it's a little unrealistic. How can they go from not being terrible to all of a sudden being like the best? It's a little far-fetched at times, but that's okay. It's a kid's movie. You accept that that's what has to happen because you need it to happen for the plot. I would say the positives of the movie, if I'd give it a positive, like I said, the soccer scene's really well done. I like the villain coach, who's over serious. Of course, he always has a son that's on the team, and they're like the undefeated reigning champions. And he has this team, and he's, no mercy. It's the typical cliched kind of coach. Too overly serious. It's just middle school soccer. Who cares, But this coach acts like he even says, and what makes it funny, and I say it's a positive, is how he at the halftime, twice in two different games, we see him at halftime, and we see the camera. I love how they did it, how he was walking down the kids are all lined up, and he's walking down this aisle of kids, and he's trying to give like an inspirational speech or something to motivate them, and the camera's following him like he's like a general, like talking to his armed forces or something. Like they make it so serious looking the way they shot it. I thought it was really well done. They even have the parents behind the kids too, so you have this audience and him walking down very seriously, this whole like no mercy, and he even says this is the most important day in your life, which is like, it's not. It's just a stupid soccer game. But it's just funny how he's like, this will be the most important day in your life, and they do it definitely for laughs. But I thought that was a positive. I like the coach. I thought he was actually a pretty good villainous coach overall, even though he's cliched. The other positive, I would say, I have the actors, obviously the Steven Guttenberg and Olivia, are good. I enjoyed them for the most part. I said the kids were pretty terrible actors, but that's common. Kid actors aren't normally that good. they're kid actors. And a lot of times kid actors stop becoming actors once they grow up because they just don't have what it takes to be a good actor. That's what happens a lot of times with kids. They just have the right look or whatever that the director liked, and they put him in the movie because they're like, oh, that kid looks cute, or that kid has a funny accent or something like that and has a funny look to him. We'll put him in there, whatever, that's okay. I'd say the standout kids, I really loved Bug Hall, which that's his name, Bug Hall. At least that's the name on IMDb. He plays this like little kid who's actually too young to be on the team, but they're one member short, so they take this kid who's like way younger than everybody so they can complete the team. And I love that character. Like, I say love, but that was probably my favorite character, and because he was so positive. He was always happy and positive, and everybody was always like, oh, we're gonna lose, and he's like, it's okay, we can, so I love the positivity of the character and the energy of the character, and definitely was the funnest character there. And I thought Bug Hall was really good as the character, actually. And I like he was a very underdog character because he was the smallest guy on the team, yet he wouldn't give up. So there's something really cool about that. Even he volunteered to take the last kick to win the game, even though he's not the best soccer player, but he believed in himself. Bug Hall, if you know, he was also in, I don't know, in a kid's movie like a year before this in '94, The Little Rascals, when they remade the Little Rascals movie, which is another movie I haven't seen in a while. A movie I thought I liked when I was a kid. I'm sure it doesn't hold up. But he played Alfalfa, anyways, in that movie. So he's most famously known for Alfalfa and Little Rascals. And then he does this movie right after. So pretty good back-to-back roles for Bug Hall in here. Like I said, I thought he was the best one. There's another guy named Patrick Renna. He played the goalie here. And he's a guy I've seen in a lot of different movies. He was in The Sandlot, was one of the big ones. He's kind of a chubby kid with, like, I want to say freckles. And he always plays a good kind of jerk character, I think. But he's a good guy, not a villain in this case. But I feel like he's done other movies like this. He kind of got typecast probably in this kind of role at this time because he's really good at it. But yeah, he was definitely, I think, one of the better actors of the kids. And I know Jacob says that he doesn't like the part where he, as a goalie, he gets scared of the other teams and he imagines them as something scary. Which sometimes he imagines them as mummies and coming at him. He imagines them as a biker gang, as pirates at one point, as knights. He has this big imagination, and it scares him to where he can't defend. He's a goalie, and yet he's too scared to defend the goal because he gets scared of these kids coming at him and trying to score. And so he has this huge flaw, this fear that really disables him from being a good goalie. I kind of like that. I thought that was a fun idea because you see the kids dressed up as these different beings, monsters, whatever, that are scaring him. So I actually thought that was kind of a funny idea, an imaginative idea and all that. And in the very end, I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but then he decides that he's going to take in all that and pretend to be the monster to scare the other character, which makes no sense. But yeah, it was a good character arc for the character, I thought, where he overcame his fear at the end. And of course, spoilers, he makes like a game-winning save, I don't know, I like that. I thought that was one of the more creative ideas in the movie. The other positive, I think, actually one of the best parts of the movie is there's a girl in the movie who, the whole movie, her dad's this drunken loser, and she's very embarrassed by him. They don't have a very good relationship. He doesn't support her at all, of course. She sees him in the bar, drunk all the time. Most of the time you see him, he's spending time in the bar. And sometimes you see him at home, and he never goes to her games, to watch her games, So, it's like this, it's cliched, but, the whole, drunken parent kind of thing. And of course, like I said, it's very cliched, but yet I really liked it. And I got a little emotional, I'll admit, when, of course, at one point, the dad actually sobers up and he comes to the very last game to watch his daughter and support his daughter and cheer his daughter on at the soccer game. And she sees him in the audience and she's so happy. Her dad's come to watch her for the first time. And they have this moment, and I have to admit, I was very emotional. I was like, wow, I didn't think I'd get emotional during kind of the stupid kids movie, but I actually thought it, even though it's the cliched thing, I'm sure it's happened in a lot of other movies, you know, the whole drunken parent getting sober and the whole, you know, parent-child relationship, you know, and all that. I don't know, but it worked. It worked for me. I thought they did a good job where I was like, I really was invested in that relationship, and I was really happy that, oh, the dad is coming around and cheering on his daughter. Anyway, so yeah, so I thought that was a really good scene and really well done overall. Yeah, so overall, like I said, I thought at first it was really terrible movie, but as the movie went on, I kind of warmed up to it and really enjoyed the ending. I thought it ended on a really good note, and they did a really good job with that. And so my overall score, I'm gonna give it 2.5 out of 5 stars, which still is it's a light not recommend. I still can't recommend it because there's still so many obnoxious scenes of the kids and doing gross things and a lot of immature humor in there that I really don't like. So for that, I still can't give it a recommend, except, like I said, if you're a kid, I think you would like it. I think if as a family film, it's not a bad film to watch as a family if you have little kids. I wouldn't, you know, but I can only say as an adult. If you're an adult, it's not one I would say you should watch unless you watch it for nostalgia reasons, I would say. Anyways, but yeah, so it wasn't the worst movie as I thought it would be. Definitely still not a good movie. I wasn't expecting it to be, but like I said, 2.5 is actually a pretty good score because I was expecting to give this a really bad score. But overall, yeah, it's almost there, but not quite there. If they could have cut out some of the more immature humor in there and all that, I might have given it 3 stars. I was very close to giving it a recommend, but I just can't do it anyways. But yeah, so thank you a lot to Jacob Martin for recommending this movie or suggesting this movie for me to watch. That was real cool to go back to memory lane when I was 12 watching this movie the first time. And Jacob is a great guy. He has a really great channel. He's in school right now in college in Tennessee. And so definitely support him. Check out his channel, just called Jacob Martin, and give him a sub if you haven't, and watch his reviews as well. He does a really good job there. So thank you, Jacob. Thank you to everybody who watched this video. Thank you for liking it. Thank you to all the subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all and I hope you have a good day.